Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to the Fort Salem Library, where we read you your fanfiction. So sit down or don't, relax or don't, and enjoy these stories in a way you have not before. We at Fort Salem Library do not own Motherland Fort Salem or any of the related characters. The Motherland Fort Salem series is created by Elliot Lawrence and owned by Freeform. This story is a work of fanfiction and is meant for entertainment only. We are not making any profit from these stories. All rights of the original Motherland Fort Salem story belong to Freeform. We also do not own the Lighthouse or any of its original characters and storylines. We did, however, get permission from the author to read their story. This story was created and written by fab_fan, and you can find a link in our show notes. This story is being read to you by Ilaria.
The Lighthouse. The tide rolled in as gently as the soft, worn green flannel that draped loosely over Scylla's shoulders, unbuttoned and rippling lightly against her breasts as the fresh ocean breeze danced around the few loose strands of hair that had fallen from the lazily tied-up pile on the top of her hat to gracefully frame her pale face. The sun was just starting to peek out over the horizon. The first strokes of Mother Nature's paintbrush began to swipe, tantalizing streaks of orange and pink to swirl with a blanket of blue. One or two clouds floated aimlessly through the opening sky. White and fluffy, they were merely pillows for the goddess to rest her head on once she finished her morning masterpiece. She could smell the sea as the tide rolled back out, leaving behind darkening sand that beckoned the water to come back once more. She breathed in it, savored it, let it settle into her lungs and fill her soul. The tinge of salt, the taste of freedom, the bite of the unknown, the tickle of the future, the trace of hope. She never felt safer or freer than when she was at the Lighthouse. These Lighthouse, labor in pain. Scylla's bottom lip began to tremble, and she bit down on it, swallowing against the emotion seeping in and causing a lump to form in her throat. The memory stuck with her. The girl stood barefoot near the edge of the ocean, the water washing over her toes, cold and refreshing. Jeans rolled up and cuffed near the middle of her shins. She gazed up at the seagulls whooping overhead and smiled. Laughter, real laughter, full and carefree, echoed from behind her. She turned her head to see her parents walking down the sandy slope from the lighthouse, hands linked and talking quietly between themselves. When they spotted her dad waved, and her mom's smile widened. The memory never left her. It was a ghost she couldn't shake. It was the only thing that kept her going for so long. Flashes of smiles and laughter she clung to as she ran away from the house where the military killed her parents. That she gripped tightly to as the spree molded her, shaped her, that she cherished as she fought in their honor, that she desperately needed in the middle of the night when the dreams came, when she could still hear the military police boots marching into their house, when she could still see the bodies falling, smashing into the mole floor because of her, when she wasn't able to block it all out, focus on the mission, when she didn't have Rael's arms around her, the nightmares replaced by a spark of affection that morphed into something more, morphed into love. Love and guilt and choices. Rael. Scylla closed her eyes. Goddess, she almost lost her. So many times. She couldn't lose her. Not Rael. Not again. Scylla would never leave her. Couldn't imagine walking away from her ever again. Rael was... She loved her. Rael made her feel so much, and yet helped her feel so little at times. The blonde helped her with her grief, with her guilt, with the rage and sadness and pain that growled in Scylla's belly. Rael taught her so much, how to trust, how to love. The fixer gave her a family, friends, a purpose beyond fighting and dying and revenge. Scylla stared at the empty bed. She could hear the marshal walking around in the hallway, knew the rest were in their rooms. She didn't care. All she could do was stare at the empty bed, at another night without Rael beside her, without knowing if Rael was safe, if she was okay. She had to believe she was. Had to. If she didn't... No, she couldn't think like that. She had to focus. Focus on finding Rael, on getting her back. Rael wasn't dead. She was fine. Scylla just needed to find her. The empty bed taunted her. Another night without her lover, without listening to Rael's heartbeat as the brunette nestled her head onto the other witch's chest. Rael already dozed off, without waking up and feeling arms around her, feeling Rael in hers, without her protection from the nightmares. Was Rael having nightmares? She'd had them, so many of them. They didn't tell the others. Rael didn't want to bother them with it. But Rael dreamed about dying, about exploding, about her mother and the plug, and her own throat being slit, about bleeding out and being stopped and not being fast enough or strong enough to save the people she loved. Scylla held her tightly as the blonde trembled at night, soothed her, calmed her, kissed away the darkness. Who was helping to keep the demons away now? Staring at the ocean, she spotted a shape in the distance. She squinted into the rising sunlight, into the swirls of orange and pink that continued to grow. Each tick of the clock, another paint stroke appeared across the heavens. A boat. It was a boat. It puttered along, heading out farther into the endless blue, moved to be swallowed by the horizon. Taking another deep breath, Scylla finally let the last tinge of tenseness, the last vestige of fear and worry and desperation float away, got lost in the white-tipped, rolling water. She was safe. Rael was safe. They were okay. They made it to the lighthouse. They were together. The brunette's chest clenched, hard, sudden, unrelenting. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Scylla collapsed into Tully and Abigail, unable to hold herself up, unable to hold it in. She was so sorry. She tried so hard. It should have worked. She was so close. She couldn't reach her. She couldn't reach Rael. She needed to reach her, promised to always be able to find her. She couldn't. She couldn't. Her heart seized. Her stomach clenched. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think or feel or do anything but know. She failed. She failed Rael. Now she was caught and goddess. But Rael was with her now. She found her, got her back. Her fiancé was sleeping in their bed in the lighthouse. They were going to get married. Scylla's lips twitched. She was going to spend her life with Rael. with the woman she loved, the woman she chose, the woman who chose her. She wished her parents were there. The thought cascaded into her mind. Her parents would have liked Rel. Her mom would have found her corny jokes charming. Her dad would have asked her a million questions about healing work. They would have adored Rel because Rel made their daughter happy. So incredibly happy. Wetting her lips, the familiar bubble of pain and guilt that always swarmed through her veins at the thought of her parents bristled under her skin, poked at her mind and tugged at her heart. Eyes dropping to the sand, she stared at the smooth ground. If she closed her eyes and listened, she could almost hear their laughter again. Hear them walking down the slope, whispering to each other. Hear them say her name. Scylla. Hey. Flinching at the unexpected greeting, Scylla instantly relaxed as her brain recognized the voice. You okay? A hand brushed along her shoulder before gliding down to rub around her waist. Yeah, I'm perfect, Scylla smiled. Rel nodded, Still's lip rumpled and adorable. She tugged on a wrinkled, plain gray t-shirt, and her black briefs rolled up her tights. Marks from the pillow and Scylla's teeth dotted her cheek and neck. For a moment, Scylla could imagine her walking around the dorm at Fort Salem, searching for her boots and uniform jacket. Hair braided and shorter, face a bit more guarded, grin affable and charming. I woke up alone, thought I dreamed that I made love to the most beautiful woman in the world. Maybe you did. Good dream? The best. Might have it again tonight. Why wait till tonight? That's Rel's lips twist and her eyes lit up. It's a very good question. Scylla smirked. I love you. Rel pressed a kiss to her temple. Her fingers caressed the jute of Scylla's hip, sneaking up to touch the bare skin of her side every now and then. I love you. They stood there for a heartbeat, staring out at the ocean. It was peaceful, wonderful, perfect. Rel tilted her head and kissed the necro's shoulder, mumbling into the flannel. Tell me what you're thinking. Scylla sighed and leaned into her embrace. My parents would have liked you. Yeah? Yeah. I think I would like them too. I remember standing here, watching them. They walked along the shore, happy, relaxed. I never saw them so relaxed. Her brow dipped. We were always running, moving, hiding. But here it felt like anything was possible. No one could find us. We could stay here forever and nothing bad would happen. A silly idea. Childish, but true. Thank you for sharing it with me. Always. Rel watched her for a moment, thinking. Scylla offered her a small smile and gently kissed the corner of her lips. What? The brunette asked, quietly, the question bright in her adoring eyes. Being there in that moment, hearing the rolling waves and feeling Rel's arm around her, Scylla knew this was beyond anything she would have ever allowed herself to hope for. This was the dream she never allowed herself to have. Not until her and Rel entered the lighthouse. Not until they were in bed, surrounded by candles, just the two of them. Not until she could fall asleep, listening to Rel's heartbeat, knowing the blonde would be there when she woke up in the morning. This was perfect. Rel thought for another minute, eyes peering into Scylla's as her mind worked. Come with me. Scylla's mouth flickered, confused. What? Come on. Rel pulled back, hands slipping around to take Scylla's. Where are we going? Scylla asked, a little jiggle in her voice as Rel started to walk toward the water. Come on, live a little, Rel winked. Blue eyes rolled hard at the dizzying lilt as they picked their way through the sand, watching out for seashells. They didn't exchange words as they walked. Scylla silently allowed herself to be led, shooting Rel questioning looks but trusting her implicitly. The blonde's hand was warm and cozy in hers, firm, telling her she'd never let her go, but soft, filled with love and affection. An idea flashed in her mind. I want to swim in the ocean. Was Rel really going to make her go swimming right now? No, that couldn't be it. Scylla mentally shooed away any other thoughts and let the moment wash over her. Strolling along the beach with her lover, hand in hers, the weather perfect, the lighthouse, a safe bit of solitude behind them, always open and welcoming. She was with Rel. Nothing else mattered. Scylla allowed herself to relax, fully, completely. She only was ever able to do that with Rel. Her and the beach, she forgot about the rest of the world. Once they were just outside of the tide's reach, Rel pulled to a stop and turned to face Scylla, the sand shifting under her feet. The brunette watched as her lover's head dipped down, her mouth opening and closing, as if she was unsure what to say, but knew she had to say something. It was cute. Like when they first started dating and Rel's bravado disappeared every once in a while, the love-struck goofy teenager shining through the cracks. Scylla loved both of them. The witch who wasn't afraid to protect those she loved, to heal strangers, to face down the camarilla, who could be smooth and suave. The woman who told bad jokes and could be lonely and scared. The woman who missed her family and sometimes blushed while reaching for Scylla's hand to hold on a date. What is it? Scylla coaxed, head bending to catch blue eyes. Inhaling deeply, Rel lifted her head and reached out. Her hand quivered as it cupped Scylla's cheek. I love you, Rel whispered, her voice dancing on the ocean breeze. I love you more than anything. Scylla grasped her wrist and squeezed tenderly. I know we have this entire thing with Abigail and Telly and whoever else. Have we haven't seen the guest list? Exhaling, reining herself in, Rel wet her lips. Rel's mouth snapped shut. Scylla stabbed into her, hand curling around her hip. Tell me. I don't want to wait to marry you. Rel's eyes glistened. I don't need anyone else or anything. I just need you. Scylla's heart is skipped. Goddess. Grasping at the brunette's hand, Rel brought them up to rest between their chests. I love you. I promise to always love you, to always be here for you, as long as I can, as long as you'll have me. I had this whole thing I've been trying to write out, vows, but doesn't matter, because I look at you and I see my entire future. It's you, Syl. Always has been. I'm never going to love someone like I love you. I never want to. This place, It's perfect because I'm with you. I don't want to be away from you. Not ever. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know I want to be by your side when it does happen. Scylla swallowed back against the tears, threatening to roll down her cheeks. Goddess. Maybe this isn't official or legal or whatever, but let me be your wife? Rel asked. She loved this woman. This goofy, silly, courageous, impulsive woman. Scylla nodded, euphoric laughter bursting out. Yes, I'm yours, Scylla, forever. Rel grinned through her own tears. I do. Scylla let the tears fall, not wanting to blink lest she missed 1 second of seeing the love of her life in front of her, her wife. I love you. I've always loved you. I always will, Scylla choked out. She paused as Rel lovingly squeezed her hands. I promise to never walk away from you. I promise to be with you, no matter what happens. I never thought I'd have this. Then I found you. I fell in love with you, and I'm never going to stop loving you. As the last syllable caressed Scylla's lips, Rel leaned forward, catching her lips in a kiss. Scylla kissed her back, letting the familiar warmth and warmth flood her veins. I take you as my wife, Rel whispered against her mouth. I take you as mine. Scylla kissed her. I grabbed our rings before we left base. Didn't want them to get lost or something. Rel sheepishly admitted. Put mine on me when we go back? Yeah, I love you. I love you. As the tide rolled back in, sweeping over their bare feet, the sun rising higher in the sky, the couple clung to each other. There were no witnesses except the sea and the lighthouse, but as they jiggled and shared another joyous kiss, Scylla knew one thing for certain. She was married to Rel Collar.
Please find the fanfiction you just listened to on Archive of Our Own and leave the authors some love. Without them, this wouldn't be possible, and we want to thank them from the bottoms of our hearts for creating these amazing stories and keeping the show alive.